Hey everyone, it's Zach Beck. Today I want to talk to you about how to start a business. Now we're facing very interesting economic times right now, and if you have the wherewithal, the means and the desire to take control of your own destiny, starting a business may be a great option for you. So what I want to do in this video is share the specific steps you need to take in order to open up a business so that you can move forward and achieve your vocational, personal, and financial goals. So let's jump into it right now. The first step you or I need to take in order to start a business is to choose the right business idea. Now this is important to take because when you're opening up a business, when you're starting something, you need to make sure it's an idea that is congruent with your personality, with your skill set, and with your desires. And also, more importantly, that it meets the market needs right now. So when you're going through the process of actually coming up with an idea, there are various things that you can actually look at. I will put links in the description for various business idea generators that you can actually go in. You plug in your information, your skill set, your desires, all those things, and it will generate opportunities for you. Perhaps you want to open up a restaurant, perhaps you want to open up a consulting firm, perhaps you want to open up a plant store, a bike shop, I don't know, it could be anything. Maybe you want to do something completely digital and online. There are so many options out there that exist in society today, so it's really just an option for you right now to take time to consider what would the right business idea be for yourself. So that's the most important first step you need to take right out of the gate, is choosing the right business idea, and also as part of that, asking yourself why you want to do that. Because if you have the why, a strong enough reason behind why you want to open up this business or start it, it's going to help motivate and propel you moving forward so you can navigate the challenges that you are ultimately going to face, because being an entrepreneur, being a business owner is going to come with specific challenges. So that's the step you want to take, is choose the right business idea. The second step you or I need to take in order to start a business is to plan your business. Now, successful companies and organizations are built through careful planning. And when it comes to starting a business, there are various practical things that you or I need to do right out of the gate in order to make sure that we're setting our business up for success. And the first is selecting a business name. Now, a name is very important because that's how you're going to be identified as a brand moving forward, so that way your customers, your clients will know what they're doing and engaging with. So when it comes to that, there are certain requirements you would actually want to make sure that you're looking at your specific state regulations when it comes to your naming guidelines. In addition, you want to make sure you're selecting a name that hopefully is easily searchable and found as a URL. So if you create a website, if you have a media presence on social media, that it's easy to access and it's catchy. It has some sort of memorable component to it. Now, after selecting a business name, you want to look at product development and ask yourself the following question: what problem does your business solve, and what product are you going to create to help solve that problem? Because if you do not have a problem and if you don't have a product, then you don't really have a business. So think about it this way: consider what problem you're trying to help address and what product you're creating to actually meet that need. So that's a very important step to take. Furthermore, you want to consider the people and partnerships that are going to be associated with your business. Consider if you're going to be joining it with another individual to create this business or another organization, you actually really want to be mindful of the type of relationships you're developing right out of the gate and who you're working with, because toxic relationships and bad business relationships can undermine any sort of future financial success or vocational success that your particular industry might provide you with in your business. So make sure that you have your people and your partnerships closely linked up and you've analyzed and assessed them well into the time frame, so that you know that right out of the gate you have a strong foundation. In addition to having a business name, product development, having your relationships in order, you want to make sure that your financial planning is in order, and making sure that you have accounting software that's in place, making sure that you understand how are you setting your business up so that way not only do you break even when it comes to your finances, meaning that you're actually making as much money as you're investing into the company, but hopefully that you're becoming profitable. And this is a staged approach that comes to actually being able to become profitable in any sort of business entity. But it's very important that you understand right out of the gate that if you're going to be, creating some sort of a product, it needs to be something that can actually be sold for more than you're creating it for, so you can make a profit and run your business. And it's very important to understand that, because oftentimes people get carried away with a business idea, start moving forward, and realize later on down the road that the business is not profitable, or perhaps that it's actually running a negative, and then you might find yourself in debt, you might find yourself out of money because you've invested into your business and not finding a way to actually make your money back. So make sure your financial planning is in order at the beginning stages of your business. Now, the third step you need to take in order to start a business is to form your business. And when it comes to forming your business, there are various options that you have. One being creating your business as an LLC. You also could create your business as a corporation, or you could create your business as a nonprofit, depending upon how it's going to be working in society and in our economic climate. So an LLC stands for Limited Liability Company. And an LLC basically is the best approach when it comes to having your personal assets limited and not actually being integrated or tied into your business. So it's a very strategic approach to take. I will tell you personally, that is the type of business that my wife and I run, is an LLC, and it's very important, and it's fairly has some benefits from the tax code. So what I would encourage you to do is, if you want to dive into the details of what an LLC is, there are various articles, various journals out there that talk about that specifically for your state. So you'd want to actually go online, type in State of California LLC or State of Delaware LLC or whatever it might be, and make sure you understand clearly what that is. But understanding it's a limited liability company, and it basically combines a personal asset protection of a corporation with the tax flexibility of a partnership or a sole proprietorship. In addition to an LLC, you can create what's called a corporation. And a corporation is a separate legal entity that is owned by its shareholders. Corporations have more formal regulations than LLCs and tend to be a bit more attractive to investors. So most large companies like Apple fall underneath the corporate category. So it's something that, depending upon where you are right now, an LLC might be a good starting point. A corporation might be something you consider later on down the road, but you have to really consider what's going to be best specifically for your business idea. Furthermore, if you're not going the LLC or corporation route, you can actually open up what's called a nonprofit. This generally tends to fall into more philanthropic endeavors or organizations that are meeting social needs out in society. For example, my wife and I run a nonprofit organization that attends to educational issues for children throughout the world. It's called New Directions for Academic Advancement. My wife actually wrote all the educational curriculum for the organization, and we actually have schools in China and all throughout society in the world where actually individual children are able to learn the English language and learn character development and actually character qualities as part of it. So when you think about a nonprofit organization, it's something that is more specific in a vein where you're not really looking to make a lot of money with it. It's really something where you're trying to do something positive in society, and you do have certain tax benefits of being a nonprofit. So in addition to partnerships and sole proprietorships, LLCs, corporations, business owners may need to file what's called a DBA, or doing business as, with the local jurisdiction, specifically if you need to file a fictitious business name. Let's say, for example, that you have a generic LLC name and you're going to actually run different businesses through your LLC. You would actually run one of your businesses as a DBA underneath your LLC, or you'd run it underneath a corporation as a DBA. Now, not every state allows you to do this in the United States of America, but when you consider it, a DBA is another option that you have. It's not the actual business itself, it's simply something you do in addition to an LLC or a corporation. The fourth step you need to take if you're going to open up a business is to register for taxes. Now, I know this is not necessarily a fun thing to do, but it's a necessary step that you need to take. Depending upon the state that you're in, depending upon the type of product that you're going to be providing, you're going to need to register for taxes. And you start that by actually registering for what's called an Employer Identification Number, or an EIN. And you can do that with the IRS. You can actually do it online, you can call into the IRS, and you can actually move forward with being able to start registering and getting an EIN. So that way the IRS can track what you're doing with your finances long term with your business. So it's an essential step to take. If you don't do this, you could be in significant trouble. So make sure that you apply for and receive an employee identification number. In addition, if you do sell a physical product, you will typically need to file for register for sales tax in your state. There are certain states in the United States of America that currently do not require sales tax, and that would be Alaska, Delaware, Montana, New Hampshire, and Oregon. So if you're doing business in those different states, you don't really have to worry about this as much, but you need to make sure that you're registering for taxes so that way you're positioned long term to make sure you're contributing your fair share and doing everything you need to make sure that you're in compliance with government codes. Now, the fifth step you need to take in order to actually open and start a business is to create a business banking account. Now, there are various banks out there with opportunities and options that might be beneficial for a business, but you just really want to take your time and do your research to determine what is best for you. But you need to make sure you have a separate business bank account versus your personal bank account. You never want to commingle your personal financial assets and your business financial assets into the same account, because if you do so, then you become personally liable if your business ever has some sort of an issue. So this could really put you in jeopardy for your possessions, your assets, your home, whatever it might be. So make sure that if you're starting a business, you open a separate business banking account, and that way you keep your personal finances out of it. Obviously, if you're going to be you're going to be contributing to actually making your business work, you're going to then put your money into your business bank account and then make all of your purchases necessary for your initial investment. But make sure that you're doing so into a business bank account. And then you're going to need to provide the bank with your EIN, with your registration for taxes, with other legal documents that show your articles of incorporation and things along those lines. So making sure that you've followed the first 4 steps prior to going and opening up your business bank account. In addition, if you're going to consider opening up a business, it might be wise to consider opening up a credit line for your business as well, by at least having a business credit card. Now, I want to stipulate that I'm very clear on this channel. I personally do not like using credit cards. I do understand they come with significant advantages and protection for purchases, but on a personal level, as a consumer and as someone who's very interested in my long-term financial picture, I try and avoid debt at all costs. So if you can do what you can to finance your business yourself, that would probably be the preferable route to take. But if at some point in time in the future you will need to obtain some sort of financing for your business, you want to begin developing that credit earlier on. Therefore, if you do open up a business credit card account, what you're going to want to make sure you do is that it's really just intended to help you build credit over time, so that way if you need capital to be raised at a later date, you're positioned properly, so that way any potential financial investor could assess your financial situation and look at your credit history. But really be mindful that if you do this, you're not doing so that way you can go out and spend extravagantly and purchase additional inventory you might need, that you're doing it deliberately, that any payments that you make through your credit card, you immediately pay off the entire balance at the end of the month, so you never fall into debt. So it's a very important step to take. Now, the sixth step that you need to take in order to start a business is to set up your accounting software. So if you either hire an accountant or know how to do accounting yourself, make sure that you have this put in place early on in life when it comes to opening up the business yourself, because it's going to be very busy. There's going to be more revenue that's going to start coming in. You're going to have certain bills that you need to pay, and it's real easy to have that be very confused and easy to have that actually get a little bit unorganized. So when you're accounting for everything, you make sure that you have everything properly lined up. That way you're making sure that you're able to pay your taxes properly, your employees properly, you're able to invest properly, have your salaries dispersed properly. Just having accounting in place keeps organization and structure, because you as the business owner need to just be focused on running the business. And if you have your finances that are out of whack outside of that, it will only distract you and prevent you from actually doing the things necessary to be successful from a perspective of business. So make sure that you have your accounting in place, whether that's with an accounting firm, an individual, or if you have someone in your business or yourself that are doing it, make sure that you have a structure in place so you can do that. There are various applications that you can use online, various tools and resources out there, so do the research necessary to make sure you're positioned properly for that. The seventh step you need to take in order to open a business is to obtain all of the permits and licenses necessary. Like I mentioned before, you are going to have to register for taxes. Now let's say if you have a business that's specifically within a city, you want to make sure that you're getting your business license, though, that way you can operate in the city. Let's say that if you're going to be doing something that requires an additional license, for example, certain like wineries would need to have an alcohol license from the state board. You might need to do something else depending upon what you're going to be selling. Make sure that you have all of your permits, all of your licenses necessary. Do your research ahead of time, because you don't want to find yourself opening a business, starting it, and then not being licensed, because then you could actually put yourself legally in jeopardy and put your business in jeopardy. So make sure you're doing your research necessary. Look at the state regulations, look at the local regulations, and even look at the federal regulations to make sure you're compliant with whatever sector you're trying to open a business in. Now, the 8th step I'd like to share with you when it comes to opening up a business is to make sure that you get insurance. Now, I don't normally talk about insurance a lot on this channel, but I believe it's important to do so when it comes to your business because you're going to be investing a lot of capital into it, and you want to make sure that your inventory is insured, you want to make sure that your employees are properly insured, you want to make sure that your business as a whole is protected. And there are various companies out there that you can obtain insurance from at reasonable rates depending upon what sector of the economy that you're in. But if you do not have insurance, then you're putting your entire business in jeopardy. That if some issue transpires later on down the road, let's say you have a fire, let's say you have an employee issue, let's say you have some sort of a dispute, let's say you have a customer who gets sick, whatever it might be, you would then be liable. And if you don't have insurance, then you're in significant challenge if you would face at that time. So my encouragement to you is to make sure that you have insurance in place to be properly positioned to run your business effectively. Now, the 9th step you want to take when it comes to building a business is to define your brand. Now, before we've talked about kind of the logistics and all the necessary required steps you need to take. Now, when you get to this step, this is actually where the excitement begins to kick in because you get to develop a brand and define it in such a way that is going to meet the needs of your customer and clientele base. And when you're defining your brand, you're also cultivating and creating a framework for your customers to understand who you are and what you're trying to do for them. So if you want to do plenty of research during this time, you want to do your SEO research, you want to check out market conditions. Hopefully you've done some of these steps previously, but you want to look at what people are needing, what people are wanting, look at what other businesses in your space are currently doing, and try and differentiate yourself. Make sure that what is your secret sauce? What is it that you're doing in your business that is so different from someone else? What need are you trying to meet? And if you're able to define that clearly and express that and communicate that effectively to your future customers, that will allow you to be positioned to be successful. So if you define your brand, make sure that you have everything in place. It would be very important if you're not artistically gifted to try and bring someone on board who can give you a clear vision for what it can be when it comes to your brand, all the way down to the font, to your color, to everything you're doing holistically with your brand, so you're making sure that customers know who you are and what message that you're communicating to them. Now, the last step that you want to take when it comes to building a business and starting it is to establish a strong web presence. Make sure that in our current economic climate, you are positioned to be effective online. Make sure that you have a website that is clean, that is efficient, that works properly, not just on a computer screen, but on your mobile devices, because most people are looking online on their phone. In addition, what you want to do is you want to have social media accounts that can effectively communicate to your customers what you're doing. It also allows there to be a lot of engagement so that people know when sales happen, when you're launching a new product, and allows you to actually maintain a dialogue because people want to know who they're doing business with and who they're buying from, because there's so many businesses out there. If you can establish a personal relationship with your customers, they're that much more likely to come back to you because you're providing them with what they need, but also because they know that you care for them and they care for you. So really do everything you can. In addition, on a practical level, you want to make sure that you're doing everything on Yelp, on Google reviews, to be getting good feedback from customers, because if someone is looking up your business online, they're going to type in and say, what is the review of X or Y business? And if you're getting low star reviews, if you're not getting good ratings, people are less likely to go to your business. In addition, you want to make sure you're registering for a local Google profile so that when your business pops up online, people know where the location is, your contact information, all of that. So these are practical steps you want to take. If you are not very technologically savvy, bring someone into your company who is, because that is the direction we are currently facing and currently moving in economically. So I would encourage you to make sure you have a strong web presence out there online so that way you can effectively communicate with your customers, but most importantly, that way you can make sales and actually begin generating revenue and move forward along the lines of becoming successful from your perspective. With all that being said, I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch the video today. If you wouldn't mind, please like the video. It'd actually really help the channel out for the YouTube algorithm, and it'll help push this video to other people who might need to hear a message like this. Because you might know someone who has a great business idea, but just doesn't know the steps they need to take to move forward along those lines. So if this allows them to be able to move forward and actually become successful, that would make me very encouraged and allow them to actually be able to pursue their dreams. In addition, if you have any questions or comments or have any additional advice you'd like to receive from myself, please comment down below. I'd love to to interact with you, get to know you, and do anything I can to help you. In addition, if you wouldn't mind subscribing to the channel, it would actually really help the channel out for the YouTube algorithm, and it would actually really encourage me as well, because I'm going to continue to create content that hopefully makes a positive impact in your life, because I want to do everything I can that helps you and myself lead a life of meaning and purpose, all while maintaining balance and moderation. So feel free to subscribe if you'd like to learn more. And if you do subscribe, please tap the notification bell. That will notify you every time I post a video, which I do on a weekly basis. Once again, I'd like to thank you for taking time to watch a video today. I hope you have a wonderful remainder of your day. Talk to you next time.